Getting back from the holidays can be super challenging for a lot of dancers. So let's uncover it.
I'm Rachel Fine, registered dietitian nutritionist and founder of To The Point Nutrition. A dancer's performance is a direct result of hard work and motivation. So where does food fit into this? There's a lot of myths and a ton of antiquated ideals, and I'm here to dispel those.
Hi dancers, welcome back to Nutrition for Dancers. I'm Rachel, your dance dietitian. Today we're going to talk about a topic that everybody faces at some point in the year and how to navigate what could often be a stressful time. Getting back from the holidays. Maybe you're getting back into the rhythm, getting back to class after some time off, or perhaps you're hearing a lot of dancer diet culture trickle in. A lot of detox talk, a lot of suggestions to cleanse or reset, and it's time to quiet that voice. But before we dive in, go ahead and hit subscribe so you are first to know when new episodes post. And don't forget to follow along at To The Point Nutrition. That's where you can find me on Instagram, where I share daily tips and advice. So first, let's clear the air. You don't have to compensate for whatever went down over the holidays, whether you feel like you've eaten a little bit more than usual. Maybe there were a lot more desserts, more indulgent type foods that aren't necessarily available on an everyday basis. Perhaps you haven't even stepped foot in the studio for a good amount of time. You don't have to compensate. Holiday meals, family traditions, delicious desserts and recipes that only come around once a year, yeah, they're not things that you have to undo. Remember, your body is not something that needs to be fixed after the holidays. But unfortunately, we are often taught and conditioned to almost panic during this time. Like when we're encouraged to jump straight into that new year, new you mindset, the detoxes, the cleanses, those punishing workouts. This reaction, it's not just unnecessary, but it's also pretty harmful. When we try to compensate by under-eating, over-exercising, we can actually hurt our metabolism, disrupt our energy levels, and really increase those cravings later on. It's a cycle that sets us up to feel super out of control around food, even in that new year mindset that you're trying to achieve. So instead, what if you approached your post-holiday season with normalcy and consistency? Rather than swinging from what feels like overindulgence to straight up restriction, you gently return to your regularly scheduled programming, consistent meals and snacks. Let me give you an example. Instead of skipping breakfast tomorrow because you feel like you overdid it tonight, commit to showing up for breakfast with the intent of eating a nourishing, balanced meal. This will help to re-regulate your blood sugar, support your energy, and get you closer back into the studio without that risk for future burnout. In this post-holiday time, I also want you to practice some self-compassion here. This one's important and most often forgotten. I know it's not always easy, especially when you're sitting with that post-holiday discomfort of perhaps eating past fullness. Maybe you feel sluggish and you're just mentally beating yourself up. I want you to remember that it's okay to feel this way. Well, it's not only okay, it's normal and relatively expected, because oftentimes the special dishes, the family traditions around the holidays, they only happen once or maybe a few times a year. So it's so understandable to relatively enter that mindset of, oh, I need to have some more of this because it's going to be a while until I get to enjoy it again. Now, of course, if you can recreate those recipes during the year, that will help to lessen that novelty. But it's not always possible, especially when it comes to a favorite dish, perhaps maybe that a family member prepares. So you need to access self-compassion. That's what's going to help you move forward. And we need to let go of that self-criticism. So let's get curious, not judgmental. Here's what I want you to ask yourself. Did I actually enjoy the foods that I ate? Did I allow myself to feel present at the holiday meal with my friends and family? Was I partaking in the social aspect of the meal, or was I just hyper focused on the food? If the latter, well, then we might need some more work in repairing our relationship with food, because we want to make sure that holiday meals are also an experience. There's so much that goes into them. It's not just about the food. Of course, those delicious recipes are a big part, but we do want to consider all the aspects of the meal and of the time together. And last, was there satisfaction, joy, and a sense of comfort at all during that holiday meal? That's a lot to gain. And these are the questions that help us to shift away from guilt and towards a more supportive and reflective mindset. Also, just a side note, those feelings of heaviness and discomfort after eating, oftentimes they're amplified because of the messages we hear from diet culture. Feeling full, it's not a bad thing. In fact, it's a normal part of life. We want to ebb and flow between hunger and fullness throughout our day. And remember, those sensations, even the uncomfortable level of fullness, will pass. There are opportunities to learn from, to learn how much food do I need to feel comfortable next time? And why did I struggle to listen to those fullness cues early on? So these are all questions that you can ask yourself in building that body of evidence, the healthy dancer body of evidence, in learning about how your meal, whether it's your holiday meal or not your holiday meal, can feel more supportive. Also, for your holidays, we want to give ourselves permission. This is where we take things a step further. Because remember this affirmation, you have full permission to enjoy the foods being served. I know that after the holidays, it can feel really tempting to fall into that diet culture mindset, to want to get back on track, and in order to get there, to restrict or cut out certain foods. You might even think, if I cut back just a little, I'll feel better. But hands down, when we restrict, even just for a little bit, at some point in the near future, our body's going to try to rebel. Because restriction, even when it's subtle, translates in our body that food is scarce. And in response, your body typically will increase cravings, decrease your energy output or your metabolism, and make you think about food constantly. It's exhausting. So instead, try adding to the mindset of nourishment. Focus on what you can give your body right now to support energy, to support focus. We want that consistency. We want the balanced meals. We want the additional snacks packed in our dance bags. Just as an example, instead of cutting out the bread at your breakfast because you overdid it on desserts last night, give yourself permission and think about what energizing carbohydrates will support me for the long run. Spoiler, likely the complex, more fibrous types. Permission to eat. It's not about sacrificing health or, and I quote, healthy, clean foods. It means we're choosing nourishment over restriction and doing so without the aftermath of guilt. So also during this time of year, we want to start reframing those resolutions because we know that new year, new you mindset, this is what's amplified after a holiday meal. Particularly for New Year's resolutions, this is often that time when we're flooded with those messages for weight loss, setting goals that often always feel about appearance. So instead, I really want to invite you to start reframing those resolutions. What would it feel like to set goals that are related to how you feel, to how you're dancing, how you're moving, how you're growing, and not just on how you look? Here are a few resolutions that have nothing to do with weight. Perhaps it's building a consistent snack routine. This is where those emergency options come in. Plan ahead, choose 3 that are packable, convenient, those that you're excited about and you can see yourself incorporating throughout your busy days. Another one that I love, challenge yourself. Learn a new recipe each month of the year. That's a fun one that helps to bring you back into the kitchen and encourage some more variety in your daily meal plan. Now, for those of you who are already part of my community, The Healthy Dancer, then you've got the added benefit of our ongoing recipe index. There's hundreds of ideas in our recipe index. And if you're not a member yet, spoiler, highly suggest you become one. Another great resolution to try, increasing stamina so that by the time you get to Petit Allegro, you're not exhausted in class. I also love this one, practicing rest and recovery with the same level of intention that you have for your training. This one's a really hard one for a lot of dancers. It's hard to recognize the importance of rest when we spend so much time in the studio, but I promise you, your body will thank you. And then finally, another favorite resolution of mine is exploring joyful movement out of the dance studio. So we often forget that between your dance schedule and also your cross-training schedule, there are other ways to move our bodies that don't necessarily have to feel very prescriptive. Simply walking is one example. Remember, these goals, these resolutions, they nourish you holistically, not just focusing on your physical health and on your physical appearance. During this post-holiday season, I also want you to minimize the obsessions. I know, easier said than done, but it's super normal, so common to be pulled towards cleaning things up in January. And you're probably going to feel that need to overhaul your meal plan or completely cut out something like sugar. But here's the thing, strict, and I quote, clean eating lifestyles become really obsessive really quickly. You will start labeling foods as good and bad, and then that starts translating to how you feel about your morale. You'll become anxious over meals that you have little control of, which is the inevitable for most. And bottom line, these obsessions start to take the joy out of eating. So let's keep it simple. Eat consistently, don't skip meals, don't feel the need to make up for a previous eating experience. Choose a variety of foods. Experiment in the kitchen. Have fun with it. Pay attention to how you feel after meals, physically. Are you energized for several hours after eating, or are you hungry again soon after the fact? It might mean that we need to amp up your meals and snacks a bit. Emotionally, are you feeling satisfied? Are you feeling content? Or are you left feeling a void or like something was missing from your meal? Super important, no one meal, even that big holiday meal, no one meal is making or breaking your health or your performance. I hope these tips help to drive home important messages for you during this post-holiday time. Thanks for hanging with me. My goal is to just share some new perspectives for you. And if you found it helpful, hit subscribe so that you are first to know when new episodes post. And I will continue to shout this from the rooftops. Follow along on Instagram. You can find me at To The Point Nutrition because I share my most updated education, content, and resources on that platform. So go hit follow, go hit subscribe, and until next time, I'll talk to you soon.